Right, we're on. Yes, I'm back. It's Blind Man, it's another podcast, and I'm in a very, very secret location. But this location is very, very beautiful. Tonight's podcast is sponsored by Kenn Forrest Scrapyard and Emulous Martial Arts. And of course, I've probably known this man since, I was probably 10 to 12 in jeans.
I'd say you're 5 or 6.
Yes, I'm joined by businessman and absolute martial arts legend. He probably says he's not, but he is to me and many others. It's Mr. Kenn Forrest.
Evening all, how we doing? It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
It's good to see you again.
Like Richard says, I've known him since he was like knee high to a grasshopper. We'll go back a long way. We've had some good times.
I'd dare say 2001.
Well, it'll be as long ago as that, would it?
I would say so, because me black belt certificate said 2005. So
That'll be right then. And it takes, like in Emulous, it's a minimum of 3 years.
Right.
Normally 4-ish minimum to get your black belt. So that'll be right. Like taking you 5 years.
And then obviously I came in a very nervous boy with me white belt wrapped around us with me dad. I think all in all, when I trained with you, I reckon I did an alright job.
Well, you must have done.
It was a little bit immature at times, but...
So you know what? For teaching kids, right? I love teaching kids martial arts. I love the high-end style, right? I love teaching like the world-class athletes and the finer tunes and stuff. But teaching youngsters, and you can see like later on in life when I still meet you and I still keep in contact, that's the best part. It's not really just always about the martial arts. It's the friendships, it's the connections, it's how you've interacted with people the rest of your life. Martial arts is the good core of it.
It is.
I don't have that biscuit there, Richard.
I'll have that
I can
biscuit.
see your spine there. Martial arts is the core of it. It is. Recently, as a girl who you used to train with, I'll not mention any names, but you used to train with in Dykeworth. So she's just brought her 2 kids to train with me.
Fantastic.
And she messages, how did they do? Are you feeling old knowing that you used to teach me when I was that age? You know, and for me, that's a huge compliment. Yes, it does make me feel slightly old. It does. But I am, you know, I'm not 20 anymore. But also, it's a huge compliment enough where I think people like yourself, like, would have that good a time in my class, had felt that it was that big of part in their life that they want their kids to experience the same.
You know, I'm not frightened to admit it. You made a massive impact on my life mentally and physically. And even like when I talk to Gav, because obviously I'm still friends with Gav,
he thick as thieves when you were sparring together, weren't you?
He's still bigs you up now. Like I mean, it's not just the physical training. I think it's how you mentally built as well. Because anyone will tell you I was the softest class at school, and the more I went to karate, I thought, right, maybe that can handle myself a bit more. And then when I got black, I didn't as much get arrogant, like, I'm a black belt, I'm big and hard. But it made us feel as if
self-worth
if I got into the situation of a fight, I would know how to handle myself and do it properly.
Yeah, well, that's another question I'm asked a lot by people who message me and ask, can I come training? Again, I'm known for like a lot of the high-end stuff. But they'll say, can you... my son's getting bullied at school, or my daughter's getting bullied at school, can you teach them some self-defense? Can you teach them some martial arts moves? I want them to stop getting bullied. And I always welcome them to the class, and it's good that they come and they see that as a little bit of a way of helping themselves. But the truth of it is, it's not really the kicks and punches that protect you. It's not. It's the having you develop confidence, you develop a little skill alongside of it, you get some confidence, you get a little bit self-worth behind you. So because you've got that, you hold yourself slightly different. And again, as like you were saying when you got your black belt, it just seemed like as if you were proud of yourself because you had achieved that, which rightly so. So once these children are at school and they can sort of ooze this presence of a little bit more where they believe in themselves, they realise they've got a value, everybody has a value, and once this child believes that, rightly or wrongly, the bully sort of moves off them to the next one. No, in an ideal world, there wouldn't be any bullying because I detest bullies to the highest order.
Do you know, right? The thing I hate the most in bullies, about life, apart from obviously we're not going doing the rude pedophiles, is bullies.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you know what it is, right? I see people getting bullied all the time, and back in the day, I would have cowered away from that. Now I approach them,
yeah.
and I'm like, oh, pack that in, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, what are you going to do? Because you're blind. That's another thing I get, because I'm blind.
Yeah.
I get underestimated, and I'll say to them, like, you know, I was a black belt in karate, I trained with this, that, and the other, and they're like, oh, right. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they kind of back off a bit. And I've never ever had to use physical violence, touch wood, in the last 10 years, because it's all about the words.
It is.
It's how you word things.
Yeah, your body language, how you can hold it, you've got to believe, commitment in what you're saying, sort of style. But you're right, I hope you never have to use it as well. You know, that's an ideal world.
I don't want to jump and spin and axe someone's head off, but I will if I have to.
Yeah, you know, I've done martial arts, as you know, all my life, and the amount of times that I've actually had to use it on the street is
very minimum.
Yeah, last resort. It is typical last resort. There's something, and I'm talking about if I've used it, I might have just had to move in the way I would have to move in a martial arts class to not be hit, just to make them feel a little bit demeaned. You know, like, oh, I've had to block something, or I've never aggressively struck anybody in it.
Do you think that is a bad stigma as well, like a stereotype on the streets? If people like see that you're a bit of a hard man, or you've trained for years, the first thing they think is, oh, I'll have him, you know?
When I was younger, I got that. I did, like, as I was like coming up in the ranks and winning British titles, and people were known, and because it's quite a small communal area, you know, everybody knows everybody, and then I was getting put in the papers, and then I never drank, I never touched a drop of alcohol. I was 25, but I would still be out with my friends, socialising in the pubs and stuff, and people would come up and say, that's him, you're the kickboxer I've seen in the paper, you're like, and you would have to diffuse the situation, you know, and I'd say, look guys, it's just a sport. It's like same as playing chess or snooker.
It is.
What I do is a hobby. It's my pastime. I don't do it so I can come up here and
it's always the MMA side as well. It's not like you'd walk up to a Tiger Woods and go, "Oh, you're meant to golf for you. I'll clout you with this.
Can I hit with my club?"
No.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's right. And I don't know why, whether it's bravado or ego, or whether they're trying to prove to their mates whatever it is. But yeah, it's just.
Now, do you find, right? I don't know if this is just me. Right, it could be because of me mental illness and everything. But do you find the older you get, the more bad intentions is in your like your punch, your strike? Because when I was younger, I used to hit the bag and I was like, aye, whatever. I knew I'm like full on doing it. You know, like I actually want to hurt the thing.
Yeah, you want to hurt the thing, which is the bag, I would presume, or the thing you're hitting. Right?
The bag, the heavy bag.
I think
for the benefit of the heavy bag.
And I think it is. I think it's really beneficial to sort of. You can get your parties, for use of a better word, but your frustration. You can get your frustration out on this inanimate object, and I think as you get older, you've got more frustration because you're dragging more stuff with you. So you end up with more frustration, and a good 10 or 20 minutes just hitting the bag, getting a sweat on,
it's gone.
And it is, and you're really not thinking about the problem you had this morning, whether your car didn't start, you just switch off. Now, for me, I used to love sparring, especially with people who would challenge me, because it doesn't matter what day I had, doesn't matter what problems I had, and I'm standing, and by the time we bow to each other, again, it's a sport. It's about discipline, control, respect. As much as I know I'm going to hit him and he's going to try and hit me, you stand, you face off, as you'll know, you bow, we're going to touch gloves, we're going to stand on our guard, we're both ready, we both know what's going to happen, and then I'm sparring. So whether I'm doing 1 round with them or 10 rounds, for that period of time when I'm sparring, I'm not thinking about the flat tire I had on the way to work. I'm not thinking about have this mortgage payment. I'm not thinking about anything else other than I need to stop him trying to hit me because it's going to hurt me a bit. I need to get out of the way for them shots. How can I get past? It's a game of chess with your martial arts moves. And that for me is such a good switch off to the brain, because it allows me that 10, as much as it's hard work, it allows me that 10 or 20 minutes of switch off in my time inside my head, where I'm just, so that's a massive help for me as you get older and as you drag more frustrations with you through life.
That's true, it is, and you're completely right about the de-stress. When you hit the bag, it's all gone. You know, I'm not a massive whinger in life, as you probably know. No. I always try and be positive about everything. Yeah. But realistically, I do have bipolar and I am partially blind, and my eyesight will never get better. No. But when I'm on the radio with my wife and when I'm hitting the bag and all that, I don't think of anything. It's not. I'm not there. It's just me in the bag.
But yeah.
And yes, I will put my hands up and admit sometimes the bag has a face on it of
Face.
someone I don't like, but I think we're all guilty for that. But it's good because it's good for your body and it's good for your mental health.
It does.
And that's what I love and will always hold in my heart about karate and kickboxing. And
it's fantastic for mental health. There's a
is.
friend of mine who he's working quite closely with Jet. Can you remember Jet from the Gladiators? Mm-hmm. He's working quite closely with her about how exercise affects mental health. And again, he has bipolar himself. And how the exercise releases the endorphins, and he has such a good feel-good factor. And it's about trying to have more good feel-good factors in the day than bad feel-good factors. And he's making good headway with it, actually. It's got some promising stuff.
you see, that's a problem with bipolar as well, Ken, is like, obviously, it's hard to explain. You're kind of two people. One day or 1 week, it depends what kind you've got. I've got type 2 hypomania, so like 1 week I could feel like king of the world,
Right.
and then the next week I could feel like the most useless piece of shit ever born. So it's weird, and when you get that good, that's when you do your goals.
Yeah.
So like, you've caught me on a good week, because if I was on a bad week, I would have probably said, oh, do you know what, maybe it's not the day, maybe
skipping the night.
yeah. But you've caught me on a good week, on
That's
a high.
good. Yeah.
So, and I think mental health is very important to be spoken about, especially for men, because like back in the day it was like, oh, grow up, you tart, you know, be a man about it. It was always be a man.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So men, I think,
It's a good point, that actually, it is, isn't it?
exactly, man up, be a man about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Aye.
grow some balls.
Yeah. As if men have to just deal with it and cope with it and never have to say about it, where a woman is entitled to. And I'm not being sexist or anything.
No,
it's just it's your paraphrase. It's what the words you're saying is.
I mean, you never said be a woman about it. You know?
No.
Even to a woman, you'd say a man up.
Yeah.
You know, and did you know that there's the highest suicide rate is from men, because they hold their emotions, and this is where you come in with the gap on your shirt. This is where you come in, because the men and women, but the men will come to you and they could say, right, Ken, I've had a hard day, blah blah. You go and get the pads, that we're going.
Let's work it up. Let's sweat it out on the pads.
They'll walk away feeling a little bit lifted.
They do, and the amount of times that I've got to tell people, if they're having a bad day and they think, they'll message me and they'll say, oh, look, I can't be bothered to come to the class tonight, I've had a bad day at work. And I'll trust me.
That's the
Put your shoes on and come. I guarantee when you've left the gym, you'll feel twice as good as what you did when you walked into the gym. It's true. The hardest part is actually getting off the sofa and getting through that door. Once you're getting through that door and you've said, even if sometimes you've got to put a brave face on for 5 minutes, which we've just spoke about isn't always the best, but just a brave face to say, hi out to your friends that's in the gym, it puts you a little bit on that path of, right, I'm raising my spirits, and then you get to hit the pads, or you get to practice a new technique or learn something. The amount of people that message me afterwards and say, thank you very much, that made a huge difference coming. I'm pleased you talked me into coming.
And even if you just took them in the corner, you know, and said, hey, what's the matter, you know, blah, 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 but I'll tell you what used to help me when I was younger. I'm probably eventually going to come back to your class anyway. I need to.
Doors always open, you know that.
I just when I was younger, the thing that actually got on my nerves was the sparring forms. They were so annoying.
They were. I've dropped them in my Emulous style, because as you know, when you train with a club called Northern Freestyle, which is sort of my stock of martial arts, where I learned to train and train, and it wasn't until I sort of wanted to compete myself, and Northern Freestyle, as good as a martial arts association it is, they just weren't really into competing. They are now, mind, they do a lot of competing.
Wow, okay.
But at the time, 20 odd years ago, they pretty much weren't, and I was the only guy, bar maybe two other guys, so I was like, Ross Gladwin, he used to want to compete a lot. Andy Gray and Stephen Young competed a lot in the MMA to pro. He was the first one for pro from there.
Wow.
So they didn't do that. So once I moved and I sort of became sort of the founder of Emulous Martial Arts, my own style, which was like heavily associated to the sports side of it, which was the competing. That there wasn't really a need for the sparring forms. As much as a good a sparring form is, sparring forms are brilliant for practicing your form and practicing technique, and actually make you do something you don't actually want to do. You might not want to do a left leg side kick.
Probably.
You might not want to do a left leg side kick, but the form dictates that you do, so you have to. So forms are good for that. But I dropped them and I added like a form for pads.
Personally, for me, I thought they were pretty pointless. Like, don't get us wrong. Sparring Form Fire was epic.
Yeah.
But then I thought to myself as I got older, what is that for?
They don't have any, or I'm going to say they have very little, because there'll be people who argue against this. Very little application towards a fighting martial arts, like a warrior style of martial art where you would learn to defend and block and that sort of stuff, or compete against. But like I say, the use that they have is pretty much making you practice some moves off the side of your body. So if you were dominant with your right leg all the time and you wanted to do a turn and kick with your right leg or a side kick with your right leg, there's a form that'll make you do it. So practicing a form is a form of like a little bit conditioning
getting used to using
both sides. Because if I was, even now, if I go to the gym and I fancy just a workout for an hour, I pretty much just do what I like doing. Because I'm there for me at that point in time. So I might just want to work my right leg all the time, or I might just want to box that day. So because I haven't got forms in my Emulous style, I've got like pad drills and stuff. I sort of simulate a form when I'm training myself. On my whiteboard, I'll write down some techniques that I'm going to do. So it means when I get there, it doesn't matter how tired I get, or if I think, I can't be bothered to do that one, it's on my list, I do it. So it's like a sparring form. That back leg side kick off the left leg is in the sparring form. So
it's kind of like just putting it in your brain and getting your body used to the things that you're uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
I get that now. That is good. I've noticed in the last couple of years I haven't been lifting my legs too much in combat. I've went more into just throwing my hands and the back fists and the elbows. I mean, I do like kicking, but I just think kicking can be dangerous physically as well, because I can't remember who it was, but I know someone who did karate with us for a long time had to get a new hip or something. I can't remember who it was, but
I've had my hip replaced.
See, there you go. I was gonna say it's because he's getting out, but he might kick us out of the room.
My martial arts is famous for wearing hips away. Some forms of martial arts don't actually wear your hips away. It depends on the style. So Taekwondo, as a style, doesn't generally wear your hips away as much as we'll say a kickboxing or a freestyle karate. The science or the research that's been done on it is Taekwondo, a kick will be like one leg and then the next. If you're watching a very fast one leg there, or they'll go bum bum, they'll put the leg down, they'll do two kicks and put it down, or they'll follow through with a kick and do something else, and it's rotation and spinning, which, if you remember, Northern Freestyle had very similar style of kicks. It was like Taekwondo style kicks, free flowing and moving.
So would you say NFK was more karate or kickboxing?
It was freestyle karate.
Right.
Freestyle, and it was an amalgamation of two good styles. So it was nearly like boxing hands and Taekwondo style legs.
Right.
So that's what Northern Freestyle was. It was an amalgamation of a couple of other styles that some other instructors started off doing a long while ago.
So we're going to talk about Kenn Forrest's martial arts inspiration. No doubt, I've known him long enough to now find him full well. It's Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee. Who does martial arts and doesn't look up to Bruce Lee?
I love Bruce Lee. I've watched all of his films.
Yeah.
Even the ones that were translated. I had to keep pausing to read the subtitles.
It's funny enough, if you look back, my kids haven't seen a Bruce Lee film.
That's mad.
No. When I was younger, certificates didn't really play a massive part, but if you look, Bruce Lee films are 18.
True.
They're in 18.
True. But one day you're going to have to sit your bands doing and show them a bit of Fist of Fury.
Oh, without a doubt. My boys have to watch, because both my boys train with me every night that I'm training. They both love kicking and punching and sparring, and they've got to watch Bruce Lee.
It wasn't going to be any other way, was it,
no,
guys? Kenn Forrest kids. I mean, come on, they weren't going to be bakers or painters and decorators.
I'll tell you a little story about Bruce Lee though. So I was teaching a martial arts class and we had a fancy dress lesson. Can you remember we used to do some fancy dress lessons at Christmas?
And you came as Bruce Lee?
I did. So I had my hair slicked back and I had the t-shirt and I had like the hand had ripped his t-shirt, like on Wave the Dragon.
I was tempted to say what the fake abs, but they weren't.
No, they were proper ones back in the day. So Enter the Dragon, you know, when he gets ripped, the thingy, and I rocked up, and some kids thought I was the Hulk.
Seriously?
Because they genuinely didn't realise who
Bruce Lee
was. And again, that's probably for the same reason as because of the certificate of the film. Their parents maybe didn't let them watch it.
Tell you the truth, do you know who I thought you were? That man off the game. Hadouken!
Oh, is it Tekken?
No, Street Fighter.
Street Fighter, is that right? Well, he was called Kenn as well.
He was, that's what I mean. So I was like, maybe that move was made for you. Hadouken!
And maybe it was, right?
So, best favourite Bruce Lee film of all time? If you had to pick one.
Enter the Dragon.
Aye, it is.
I actually like Wave the Dragon, which isn't so much... I don't think people speak much about that one, and that's where he fights Chuck Norris.
Right.
In the Colosseum.
Has he got my chin?
Chuck or Bruce?
Chuck.
No, but he's got a hairy chest.
I'm Chuck, yeah, well there. I'm good with grappling now, mind.
Oh yeah?
Oh aye. I'm a bit of a scoop slam kind of...
Very good. So why are you doing that?
Nah, I just learned myself.
Did you?
Right. Just one of them bags like you.
Oh right, yes, you slamming about and stuff.
Yeah, just
good form of exercise, if nothing else.
I mean, I did train. I did do a little spell of Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Right.
When I went over to Newcastle.
Yeah.
And then I got into some boxing. And then obviously when I came back here, I wanted to get back into karate. So realistically, for a blind lad, I've got a bit of MMA in it. Yeah.
Well, do you know what? You're right enough because it's closer quarters, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So you've got a better chance of sort of feeling your way to where they are. Mm-hmm. And grappling, if you're grappling them, you put your hands on them pretty much all the time. Mm-hmm. So if their arms want to move, you can feel the way the body's going to move and you can get your hand. It's probably a good choice, to be fair. Mm-hmm. Keeps you in the martial arts. And on the ground, when you're putting your weight and grappling with somebody on the ground, mm-hmm. you've got pretty much just as much.
You've got all the vision because
you've got the same as everybody else. You're not.
There's a thing that I try to explain to people, right? Because I've been trying to get a fight, right? Mm-hmm. I just wanted to do a fight, charity for my own mental health. I didn't know what, I didn't know where it came from, but I just wanted to get in the ring. Yeah. And people were like, "Oh, you can't do that. You're blind, man. Blah blah blah." And what I've tried to explain to them is my tunnel vision, mm-hmm. right? If I focus, it focuses on one part of your body, so your face, your body, right? The normal sighted guy has got the distraction of all the crowd, because he's got normal vision. Mm-hmm. So surely to hell, it cannot be that dangerous for someone that's experienced in martial arts and knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Why?
I could sort that out for you.
I would love one fight.
And it would probably be what's easier to sort out is like a mat sport event where you're on a mat. Mm-hmm. And then
it doesn't have to be a ring.
No.
I just want to fight.
I run a tournament once a year with some of my friends. It's not just mine, so like we'll share it. Mm-hmm. And it's called the Legacy Challenge,
right?
And it's in Peterlee area. Mm-hmm. And we take this the right way, not the wrong way.
No, I didn't. I'm not offended by it now.
We run a disability section, right? And it's not. It's not just for those that's in a wheelchair. It could be somebody who has an arm.
Anyone with a disability.
It could be anybody at all.
Blind, deaf, mental
whatever
health problems.
Whatever it would be. And Aidan, my son, he stepped in and he was competing against a guy that was in a wheelchair, a young lad. And they come from a martial art that specialises in teaching people that just need a little bit extra care when they're training and stuff like that. So Aidan, he sat on a seat. And he was facing in the box, like sparring, and 2 rounds he did, and you know, it was fantastic. That got the biggest crowd of the whole day. And again, you got to be careful how we say this, but it wasn't for sympathy at all, because that's not what we're doing. But it was just admiration. You know, like there's a lot of people out there who can learn a lot of stuff from people who don't give in like yourself.
I think what it is like you said, it had nothing to do with sympathy. They probably looked at that lad and thought, do you know what it is, right? Look at the condition he's in, and look at he's still trying to follow his dreams. And that's what it is.
He trained like the way he would normally train, but he trained still as many times a week as what the other guys in other sections were training. So he's put the same dedication in. So it's admirable, to be fair. You know, like anybody, whether
It's quite
fully able or
inspirational,
not, it
actually,
is.
to be fair.
100% it is. You've got to commend anybody who puts time and commitment into trying to achieve a goal, and that was this young boy's goal at the time. You know,
He did it.
He did it, and he was fantastic.
Well, I'm gonna try and get into just even one competition or tournament. Like, I'm not gonna come in like I'm old Daniel San because I'm rusty, but it's just it's.
Well, I'm going to hold you to that.
It's been playing on my mind
March.
for a long time. March next 2022.
Yes, that gives you plenty of time to train.
Spot
But
on.
that's when the next legacy tournament is.
Spot on. I'll give it a blast. Like, I mean, obviously they'll know that I'm partially sighted as well. So
Yes.
good. So what would they do? Would they put me in with
Match it
another
up.
blind person or
It depends on what and who else wants to compete.
right?
Yeah.
That's mint. I'll keep that in my mind. I definitely want to do it because I've said it for years. And
I've
people
called
say,
you
"Oh,
out now on podcast.
He has. He's called us out. Watch that. He'll put us up against Jet Li's son or something.
Right.
So your just quickly your career. You got to the World Championships, didn't you?
Yeah. So I've got multiple British championship, British titles, Europeans, and then I ended up fighting at world level.
Now, world must be a total different kettle of fish in your head and heart.
It is, to be fair. You go from this young lad who's in this little mining village, you know, who just runs the streets and keeps himself fit. Do you know what I mean? And sparring with people who he knows, to jump into this world stage where you can pretty much fight anybody in the world. You know,
madness.
And loads of people will say to me, stereotypically and wrong, they'll say, "Did you fight the Chinese man? Well, they're fast." You know.
Honestly,
do you know what I mean? Yeah.
It's like boxing. Did you fight a black man? Do you know what I mean?
And I'm
No
like,
way.
no, actually I didn't. I thought, and you can rhyme off how we fought and stuff. But yes, it was a huge jump up. So I went from just training, you know, like in a little school gym and fighting people who, because it was my first Worlds that I went to this in 2002 it was in Killarney, Ireland.
Right.
Fighting guys from like around the world, and like you get your eyes open to see how different people train, and maybe they've got 10 years experience on you.
I hope you give them a hiding mind.
Well, I got to the finals because it works the same as the Olympic boxing.
Oh, right, so it's stages.
So yeah, so it's you would fight the prelims. So back in the day, World Championships used to be a lot harder to get to than they are now, and the reason being is there's more governing bodies, so like it's a little bit more diluted at the British level. So as a lot of people can get to British level quite
Quicker
easy.
than you used to be.
Quite easy, yes. So back then, in like 20 odd year ago, there was like thousands of people at this tournament, and you would, like in your different weight sections, and you would fight somebody, and then you would get through the next round and then fight. And if you're lucky enough to get to the final stage, the finals would be the end of the week, same as if you were Olympic boxing or whatever. And I fought this guy, he's called Ben Stewart, and he had won a couple of world titles previously.
So he knew what he was doing.
He had been there before, and I think it was something like about midnight at night. I was time I had to fight. Sky Sports was there videoing it. So this was my first World Championships. I was fighting the current world champion who had won at full contact and points and continuous. I had Sky Sports being there, and I felt a little bit out of my depth, but it brings your game out in you. Do you know what I mean?
It's a heap of pressure.
It was a heap of pressure, and I ended up striking him quite hard in the first round. It was a minute and 32, and put him on the floor, and he was classed medically unfit to continue.
So is that you winning by knockout or default?
Because it was under 4 rounds of a fight and he's medically unfit, he gets to retain the title, and I don't win. Even though you win.
We all know really you won though.
He does, I do, Sky Sports does, everybody does, you know. But on the flip side, if I had just won and I had just been anybody who just won that, I probably wouldn't have been remembered. But then in the manner of which I didn't get the world title, I got remembered in the martial arts community a little bit faster. And
in the words of Smokey on Friday, he got knocked out, man! Highlights and lowlights?
Highlights.
Obviously that probably was a highlight, but...
That was it, yeah, because that was my first World Championships. Actually winning my first world title was in Florida. I fought in the Disneyland Sports Resort.
What a belter.
Oh, and I was like thousands there again, and it was monstrous. It was the biggest one.
You would have had Mickey Mouse in the corner going, do it, Ken! Oh, boy!
Do you know what? They were floating around. They weren't around the rings and stuff, mate, but
Just mascot.
yeah, aye. But that was fantastic, and that was a huge event. So that was my first Worlds that I won, and that was probably my high one.
I know it's probably a little bit depressing, but you've clearly would have had lower times during your career, or mentally, physically, whatever you know.
Injuries play a lot, you know, like when you've been such a high level and you're competing constantly, and then you're knocked back through an injury. So I had quite a bad injury to my knee in 2005, which I snapped my leg and dislocated my knee.
Ouch. I bet that tingled.
It tingled a little bit. And then I had that repaired, and it's just you go from being like the best in the world at one point in time to being injured and not being able to train or do anything. Now, for a person who just runs the streets or goes to the gym and lifts weights, or he just like keeps fit,
you've always been active.
It's not that much of a drop, like to be poorly, if you get what I mean. But to be the best in the world up here,
to go
down there, the drop is huge, and that can play a massive psychological.
I imagine that's a heavy drop on mental health as well.
It is.
It causes a lot of depression and anxiety, and am I good enough?
And I had that because the reason I have a false hip is because I injured my hip. And it did get wore away from the injury, but the injury, when I did it, they said, look, it's inevitable, you're going to have a false hip at some point in time. And I actually tore the cartilage off the top of my hip, and the bone ended up sitting in the bone straight away, and it just wore it away until it was gone. So I went again from being able to kick somebody in the face as easy as I would walk. You know, like it was just natural. It was just bang out, kick, bang. You've seen me kick.
You were kicking through bloody basketball hoops and everything when I was a kid.
So, I used to be able to jump up and kick the ball with the basketball net. Yeah, right. So I went from that level to, with a hip, not being able to put my foot in a bath. I couldn't step over a bath. And that's how bad.
Which would have genuinely pissed you off at the time and made you feel really...
It did, and that lasted, probably I suffered with that about 2 years until they replaced my hip.
And was that, obviously, you were with Amy when that was...
Yeah.
And she would have been looking after you and trying to perk you back up.
Now, in life, I got to the point where I just accepted that. So in life, I wasn't depressed. In life, I was happy. As you see...
That's like me with my eyes.
I've got a lovely house. I've got a lovely family. I've got the best family around. I'm sure everybody says that. But like... We're a good team as a family, okay? And in life, fantastic. But as soon as I stepped into the gym and I watched a lot of talented athletes kicking and punching and doing something that I used to be fantastic at and love and thrive doing, to me watching them not being able to put my foot in the bath, I ended up being gym depressed. So I still had to turn up to the gym and I still had to teach people.
But you weren't interested in your heart, in your mind, sorry.
I wanted... Because it's in my nature, I always wanted them to be the best they could be, so I'd always teach them the best of my ability. But inside, I was battling with demons, not jealousy, but it used to affect me mentally that these were doing something that I could once do very well, that I could not do anymore. And so every time I got into the gym, that depressed me. And I had to battle that because you've still got to put your brave face on, being a man about it, you know, in front of your 30 students that you've got on that class that night. And nobody's going to turn up for a class to learn martial arts, me standing at the front with a sour face and crying. No. You know, I've still got to motivate, and so for short periods of time, like an hour or two a night when I was teaching, depressed, you know.
Depressed, and you just wanted it. And you know what, the Mr. Forrest that I knew would be at the front of the class and he'd be like, 2 monkeys in a bath.
We still have joke nights on a Tuesday, you know.
Do you?
Yeah.
I've got one for you.
Oh, yeah.
When you go into your class, I've actually got a couple. I don't know the level of how you can do it. It's not dark, but some of it's like... So obviously the first one is, did you hear about the alligator in a vest?
No.
He's an investigator.
We only tell good jokes on a Tuesday, did I say?
The bad joke night.
Bad jokes is on a Thursday.
Oh, right. I'll have to tell them on a Thursday, then I'm absolutely free.
Aye. Well, the joke, so I sit the kids down when we're stretching and stuff, and again, it's just engaging with them, and you remember we still do that, it's a big part. So they've got to tell a joke. Now, if someone can guess the punchline of the joke, so this tries to get them to be a little bit more creative and think of it. If somebody can guess the punchline of the joke,
let me guess. 5 press-ups?
5 press-ups, 100% right. So they get 5 press-ups. If nobody in the gym laughs at the joke,
10 press-ups.
Well, no, they get 5 sit-ups.
Oh.
So they get close. They get 5 sit-ups. So they were telling jokes. So my joke on Tuesday night was somebody asked me to fasten a boxing glove. This little boy, he's about 5. So he came and I put his boxing glove on, and they got Velcro to strap them on. So I opened the Velcro and I shut it and I went, Velcro, what a rip-off. So that was my attempt at a good stroke bad joke on Tuesday.
We do it every Thursday on Course Radio, my breakfast show. We call it Funhouse Thursday.
Right.
It's something I created because we always try and have fun on the radio show, but on a Thursday it's our last day on radio, so we'll let our hair down of what I've got, and we'll just be stupid.
Right.
And we'll get the listeners to send in daft jokes, and me and Claire come up with them. And Thursday had just gone, someone goes, my wife says I have to stop pretending to be a flamingo, so I had to put my foot down. I was like, yes, come on.
Yeah.
So I love it. It's all about positivity. If you give the bands, if you show the bands that you're not this big, meanie, serious instructor, you know, because a lot of times when I first went to karate, we used to think that. We'd think, oh, right, we're here now, bow, socks and shoes off. Mr. Forrest will give a wrong if we would laugh, you know.
Yeah.
But then when you get used to it, you know that obviously we had jokes and the way you went on, and I still owe you a bloody slap for them side steps.
The side steps? Oh, do you not like them?
You used to get right.
Still do them. Still do them.
I used to hear. Yeah. I had nightmares of doing them. I didn't mind the stretching. I didn't mind the jogging.
Yeah.
I loved the pads.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the side.
Most people love the pads, mate. Everybody wants to hit the pads.
Everyone
like
wants
the
to hit
side
the
steps.
Nah, it's just I thought
Just unnatural for you, wasn't
I was just doing it thinking, what is
am I
the
doing
point?
here?
I look like a bloody horse. Yeah. And then swap around and be like, oh, come on. But mate, I've got to tell you this because me and Gav joke about it forever,
right.
And he'll be watching this back, so he'll want us to do it.
Gav, how we doing?
See, there you go. He says the funniest part of karate was when me and him were prattling around, and you didn't look impressed, but you left it. And we went back on the Thursday. We were prattling around again. You could see you were starting to get a bit knocked. And then we came back and we were prattling on again, and you come up to it and you went, right, that's it, yous two, if you want your black belt, you better pack it in now, and ye, Richie, the ink. And I was like, why me? Why my
Why Peter? Aye. So that still resonates hard on you, does
So
it?
after that, we didn't prat on ever again.
No? And you achieved what you wanted?
I did, and I still to this day say to me kids, oh, get your bum out of bed or I'll grab your sternocleidomastoid.
Can you remember the bones and muscles, can you?
Every single one of them.
Very good.
I can. I kept it all in.
Stuck in.
So, yes. I told you, you know, you didn't take it too well, the compliment side
No,
of it.
I
You made a massive impact on a lot of people's lives, and mine was definitely one of them.
Well, you know, it means loads to me.
I actually got upset when I lost contact with you when I was in Newcastle, because I thought, oh, that was a great part of my life. You know, he's going to forget who I am. He'll not talk to us, or he's too busy. And
no, never. I've always got time.
When we started talking again, I was like, oh, Dad, guess what? Guess what? I'm talking to Ken. Dad's like, I still yawped him. You didn't.
Your dad, I always remember your dad training.
He did. He sidestepped and I sidestepped and he fell on his face.
Your dad, we used to have this thing, you know, when you had to kick the pads with the side kicks.
Aye.
And your dad was like the hardest man to move.
He's like a bloody wow, wasn't he?
He was.
It was like,
and I put proper effort in, and I could see your dad was putting proper effort to stay there.
He's like,
you know, and it must have been hurting him, you know what I mean? Anybody took it, and I was like, and I used to like that on a Thursday night with the pad. I'll get your dad to hold him, and we'd have
full
to
on shift and side kicking,
trying to put my foot through his ribs through a pad, and he would like take it. And I remember that.
And he's just literally going, pussy. And again. I'll tell you one story I'll never forget about my dad. Actually went, because obviously he got into it as well. He wasn't as serious as me, but
Did he get into it after you, Richard?
He did it after me because of me.
Right.
Because at first he put me in it because I went through hell at school.
Right.
You know, obviously with my eyes and all that. And he put me in it. And I think it was a couple of months he started like watching the seniors.
Yeah.
And he was thinking, well, I could lose a bit of weight and blah, blah, blah. And obviously he likes that stuff as well. So he got into it and he got a purple and white.
Yeah.
And he never got to the black. And I think he wanted to, and I think it pissed him off because he didn't, but he was hurting himself. And the story I always remember is, you know, when we went to them competitions and we used to put our fists through the wood.
Yeah, the breaker boards. I remember that.
We've got trophies in the house, and his trophy, I remember I said to him, Dad, how did you get that again? And he's like, that thing, and it must have been 4 or 5 boards.
Boards, yeah, it was.
Just went bang.
I remember, so we used to do part of the gradings and competitions. There was like a destruction competition, and you would start off. You're right. So your dad did it with a punch, I think, at the time. So you would start off with, say, on your right leg, and you had to kick through one board. So everybody in the tournament kicked through one board, and then if you failed to kick the one board, you moved to the side.
Yeah.
They would then put 2 on, and then whoever, and again it was just like a knock at what went open up with the boards, and then they would change the boards to the black board, which was
that's what he had.
Twice the resistance of the white boards, the joints, because they used to join together, didn't they? Had a little bit more resistance or tighter, and that's how it worked. And your dad, I remember he won that, and that was in Chronic, and he won that. Concordia Leisure Centre.
I've still got a piece of wood that you snapped inside.
Is that right?
Right. It was one of them boards. It was snapped, and obviously you must have just wrote like Kenn Forrest on it or something. I've still got it in the house.
Oh, that's good.
I've got that. I've got
a picture of that. I can't remember it.
I'll have a dig about and try and find it. I've practically lost all my belts.
Have you?
I've still got my black belt certificate,
right,
but it's crumbling away now.
Is it?
In the corners, because the frame I had broke.
Right.
So I put it away, and then obviously I forgot about it. Right. So but it's still there, and I'm gonna get it reframed. And but people always say to me, "Oh, how did you get a black belt? You're blind. You're lying. You're full of crap." I'm saying to them, "How? You wait till the day I have that podcast with my instructor.
Sure, he'll tell you.
Yeah. I worked my blood, sweat, and tears, and I got to a black.
Yeah.
It took us 2 attempts, but I got there."
Well, point again about just persevering, proving everybody wrong.
Yeah.
You know, like I've seen a lot of people get to the black belt, fail a black belt, and that's it. No, to me, and I used to say this, you only ever fail a black belt if you give in when you didn't pass it the first time. And that's when you failed.
It hurts though.
It's a sting.
When you sit there, you're like, yes, I've made it, I'm at the black belt grade and I'm mint, and then they go, fail.
That's right. But if you persevere and you get it the second time, you didn't fail the first time.
No, you just tried. You didn't try hard enough.
Well, you got it. You know, it was just part of the path that you were on.
My dad said that to me that day. He went, "Rich man, stop whinging on. You never failed. You didn't try hard enough.
No.
And don't bother giving up. You'll go back in, and I'll make sure you get it this time." And I did.
And at the age you're at, though, that's hard for somebody that age to comprehend, isn't it?
I think I was 14.
Why?
Turning 15.
So it's so easy to give up at that point in time. And again, speaking about where we're sitting here and how nice, and like the core values that martial arts teaches, which is courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control.
Yeah.
You know, like all them things that martial arts have, if you apply them to life, you should be successful.
It is.
You know, like be courteous, be respectful to your fellow neighbour. You know, it's not a religion, and I'm not a religious person, but it's just some good values in martial arts that help life.
That's another thing I need to get out as well in a life hack, is because I talk about Jesus a lot, people think I'm some sort of Bible bashing religious freak. I'm not actually religious. I don't like religion.
Right.
I don't believe in it. I believe religion was made by man to segregate people. My God's better than your God, blah, blah, blah. You don't do this, you do it. I am a spiritual person, and I believe in energy.
Right.
I love Jesus, I'll never deny it, and I do believe he was real, but I don't believe in all of this.
The controlling.
My God's better than your God, and if you don't believe in me, you're going to hell. That's just a load of hoopla to me.
I think without getting religious, and I try not to debate about stuff like that, but if you look at all religions, they've all got some points and some valid good things that if you live by, they should help you. If you just look at the core values of them, again with the martial arts, the core values of it, if you pick the good points and you try and stick to them in your life, you shouldn't go far wrong. Because none of them's telling you to go and be bad to your neighbour, or none of them's telling you to disrespect them.
Well, however, Ken, to be fair, let's look at the 10 Commandments. It's not even a commandment, it's common sense. Didn't lie, didn't steal, treat your parents with respect, didn't kill people, didn't cheat on your wife. However, common sense.
If you live by them 10, you're right. Without being religious,
it's common sense.
It is.
And all I believe in is I'm a good man.
Yeah.
All I want to do is make people smile, make people happy. If I can help them, I'll do it as best as I can to my advantage. And I just believe in one thing that I was told a few years ago of a mate of mine who was a soldier. He's lost his leg. And he said to me one day, he went, Richie, he says, come here, lad. He says, you need to F off these haters, right? They're jealous, blah, blah, blah. He says, crack on and always remember this, son. And I went, what? He went, love conquers everything. And I've remembered that from that day.
And it will.
It does.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. There's always someone you love.
There is.
Always. Yeah. Your mum, your dad, your sisters, your brothers, your kids, your wife.
He's right about two things there. The love and the haters. You know what? I was followed by a lot of people as I was on my way up to being the superstar. People call me, I'm still Kenn Forrest, you know what I mean? To be, I work in a scrapyard through the day. I'm a normal person. It's just I happen to be good at something. But on my way up, there was a lot of people who followed me on the way up, not to see me win,
to see you lose,
but to see me fail. And I knew that in my heart of hearts, who did and who didn't. And I kept that under my hat, so I thought,
sometimes you just got to leave them behind.
I just let them. I just kept them on my hat because it's not worth it. But you genuinely know that there's guys who just pat you on the back and say, well done, and they're really not saying that.
And do you ever get them ones that just pretend to be your mate because of where you got, or who you are?
Like a hanger-on sort of style.
Because I get people now coming up to me, like, oh, now I work on radio, and they know I've got celebrity connections, and they're like, oh, do you know what? You're awesome, you know what? Can you play me music on radio? I just had it this morning. No names mentioned, but this morning, last night, I received a message of a bloke. He was like, oh, you're so awesome, you're an amazing man, you're so motivational, inspirational, we love what you're doing. I'd love to get you at some events. I don't want no money, I'll just do it out of the love. I says, thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate your words, but I work on my own because of my trust and what I've been through. But I really appreciate what you've said. God bless.
Yeah.
Right? Within the flip of a coin, I was a horrible man. I'm a fake Christian. I'm a dickhead. Blah, blah, blah. And it's because I didn't give him what he wanted.
Yeah. You outed him in one.
But I'm allowed to say no.
Of course you are.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes, being a yes man gets you places in life, but you've got to sometimes say no.
You're right.
Because people will take over.
They'll take a land of you. They will. Nice guys get taken a land of sometimes. Every now and again, you've just got to say it.
But I would like to say to any younger people that watch us, I'd say, don't be bad for the sake of being cool, because being bad is not cool. And yeah, the good guy, you might see get picked on in that, but in the end, the good guy wins. Look at Ken. He's always been a good man. He's got a beautiful home. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got beautiful children. He's got land. He's got animals. I'm a good guy. I've got wife, kids, radio. I do the breakfast show. 10 years ago, if someone said to me, you're going to be radio presenter on an FM station doing the breakfast show, I would have went,
no way.
You know?
Yeah.
Being good gets you good, and people need to know that.
Be good and be grounded. Remember where you are, remember where you come from, and remember what got you to be good.
Be good and be grounded, not be bad and get grounded.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good one.
So, you wanted to quickly mention social media and how it's affected the world.
Yeah, so, we were chatting in the car when I was picking you up, and so when I was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when I was working my way up, so we were talking about social media and how it affects what you do as work and in life, and how fake friends and fake people around, because keyboard warriors can sit behind. So
black belt on the keyboard.
100%. So one of the things, when I was trying to not make a name for myself, but get where I needed to be, right? And I wasn't necessarily bothered about having a name, but I knew where I wanted to be. I wanted to be the best that I could be, the best in the world. So I would turn up at a tournament, and there was maybe 200 people there. So then I would fight in front of out in the 200 people, and some would be watching one section, some would be watching another. There's maybe 50 people around my mat. So out of them 50 people around my mat, you've got to remember 25 are there to watch you, 25 are there to watch the other guy you're fighting.
Yeah.
So 25 people like you, 10 of them might say, Ken was good, you know, and appreciate you. So then they tell some people, and then it might take 5-10 years for 1,000 people to know your name, or to come and watch you, where you could sell a ticket at 1,000 people, or you could sell a seminar at 1,000 people, because it took you 5 years to build up of people. Because the only way of video then was people used to have these huge big video cameras, like they put the full VHS tape in the camera. Can you remember that? Maybe around. So it took me 5 years to be recognised, we'll say.
And what's it now? 5 minutes?
Nowadays it's 5 minutes, you're exactly right. So somebody stands around with the phone.
Live on Facebook.
Or they put it on social media. And within, so like that video that I did, we videoed my son, you know, and he was in the disability section videoing it. And within a week he had 23,000 people.
You see what I mean?
So like, these people now, they're not everybody in this one, I'm not categorising everybody this, but there's people out there who are like a flash in the pan. It's like a bit like a one-hit wonder with music, right? They've had one good fight, or they've had a 5-minute part of the fight where they were exceptional. They might have got beat, okay? But they had a 5-minute part where they've cropped the video either side and make them look fantastic. They share it, they've got 23,000 people watching it, and they think they're brilliant. And then they start to believe it.
And I'm not being nasty or horrible here when I say this, but do you honestly, swear to God, think that all them 23,000 people actually gave a damn?
No, not at all. That's why.
Like, you see these people on Facebook, Ken, they're like, oh, look at me, I've got 5,000 friends. No, you haven't. You've got 20.
Yeah.
Do you really think if you invited them 5,000 people to your birthday party, they're all going to go, Gary, man?
I'm cool. I wouldn't know your second name.
You haven't got 5,000 friends. You never have and you never will. I can count my true friends on one hand. One hand, maybe it's two at the push. And what gets on my nerves and all is what you said about the music, right? Because obviously I'm a musician, and all I rap about is good stuff and positive and motivational stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a rapper. As soon as I say rapper, people go, oh God, yeah, we're done. Big chains, spliffs, women, cars, gangs, guns. No, I rap about, right, for example, this bloke's sitting in his house and he thinks he's a joke. He's a man, not a mouse.
I've heard this one. I've heard this.
Get up. You know, like get up. Get your jacket on. Walk outside. Look at the sky. Think of what you've got. Your wife. Blah blah blah. That's like me. And then these guys, like on the internet, who are going, they're winning Grammys. You've got people like, look at Gangnam Style on YouTube. Have you actually seen how many views Gangnam Style?
No, tell me how many.
It's something like 13 billion. But yet Queen can't get to 20 million, sorry. Do you know what I mean? Like,
unbelievable, isn't it?
You've got like people like Lil Yachty, who's a mumble rapper. He raps about nothing. He's one of the most famous rappers in the world. But yet Elvis Presley, who? You know? It's dead. It's actually
it is. It does kill some things, mate.
It's dead.
It is. It does kill some things.
And if it wasn't for my radio show, my music, I probably would never be on social media, because to be honest with you, I hate it. Yeah, I do my podcast on YouTube, so it sounds contradictory, but I do that because it helps me mentally.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I get to talk to people who I like. You know, I get to interview famous people. Oh, by the way, welcome to the Blind Man's podcast, Dire Straits and Grandmaster Flash.
How good's that? Little old Kenn Forrest, Dire Straits, Glenn McCrory.
Aye. Raheem from Grandmaster Flash and the Furies 5.
Yeah.
Yep. You've got Nick Welch from Bad Manners. He's on there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stars galore on me.
It is.
How one am I?
I'm gonna get Ken to say anything he wants, give shout outs, and then I've got one thing I want him to end the podcast on, because it has to be done. So if you want to see anything to anyone, like your trainers, your gym, your friends, anything.
Guys, thank you very much for everybody who supported us all the way through. You know, like as I was just speaking before, there's haters and lovers, and you know what, focus on them lovers. They're the ones that are there to help you and genuinely be there for you. I appreciate every single one of you, and especially my mum and dad, who believed in me all the way through. Took me everywhere I wanted to be. Mum and Dad, I love you loads.
Gotta love Ken and Elsie, definitely. And, in the words of 50 Cent, hate it or love it, the underdogs are on top. Ken, thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard.
I really appreciate it. And before I press stop, I want you to just do one thing for me.
Right.
I want you to go, form up in your greatest karate.
Yeah, we're ready. Form up! Tension, hands by your sides.
Hover!
Fish fingers. Give me my fish fingers.
Right, you did it wrong. 5 press-ups. You see. Right, I'm going to get Kenn's big finger to press stop on the record. And
See you guys.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Take
Please
care.
like and subscribe and hit the bell. God bless.
See you all soon.